Alright, what's up, y'all? So today we're going to be talking about the restoration process and part of the reason it takes so long, and not making excuses for why it takes so long. Most of the time it's the procrastination of these tedious processes that hold the project up more than anything. But anyway, I'll show you guys what we're working with today. Alright, so these are the rear shackle bolts for a 79 to 82 Toyota 4-wheel drive. And they have to be cleaned up very well and painted. Obviously, we're going to get rid of the rust, but due to the nature of the fine threads on these metric nuts on the shaft, they're too fine to like blast and powder coat, because it would cake up in all the threads. So what you see me doing was cutting the threads with the old nuts. The nuts will be replaced with stainless hardware, but these all have to be cleaned up with a grinder with a wire wheel to get all this gunk, this one's built up really bad, off the shaft of these shackle bolts, because they get new polyurethane bushings, so the tolerances are very tight on these shackle bolts, and they have to fit the new bushings well. So we get all this rust off, all this gunk and grime off, and paint these things today before they with some Rust-Oleum, and let them be drying really well before they go back together. So it's just an example of why these take so long. Like this right here is what I've done in the last couple hours. I've got these two left, and I'll eat some lunch and then clean all these up and paint them this afternoon. So the weather held up blasting and putting this bed in epoxy primer. Obviously all that bare steel would rust, so with the rain and stuff outside, it's got to be blasted outside, so that got held up today. So today we're trying to make a rolling unit pretty soon this week out of this Toyota. So 4-wheel drive Toyota Hilux 4.7, it's hard to see, but 4.7 swap out of a Tundra going in this truck. What's going to be different is the keeping the solid axle in this truck and retaining the drive line. So stock transfer case transmission will be bolted to that 4.7, and it's going to keep the solid axle in the front, which is one of the coolest parts about these trucks. So even though it's all filthy, new rough country lift, just going to jack this thing up like 3 inches over factory, have really good aggressive stance, and looking forward to seeing. It's going to be a brand new truck. New shocks, bolts, hardware, bushings, all going back together. What can't be replaced is all of this is the factory hardware that has to be cleaned up. So solutions, rust converter, these parts will be soaking in. A lot of these mechanical parts, they'll be soaked in gasoline. All that old grease and junk will be gotten off there, be super clean, and go back together with new grease. Some of that stuff's getting replaced with the lift kit hardware, and all this has to be cleaned up to go back together. So it's just factory hardware that can't be bought at the store. So it's a process and it's a puzzle, but super excited about it. Super cool truck. So stay tuned for that. And that's you know, the process on just those shackle bolts. So like I said, you know, it's just an explanation of what one of the small things that takes along these projects. So, and mind you, you know, we took care of all the rust. You can still see like some of the pitting and stuff, which those are going to get covered in the bushings. But it's got a light coat of paint on it to not interfere with any of the tolerances on the threads or the diameter of the shaft for the bushing to go on. So if, you know, if you're curious, there's another higher quality level of doing this, which will be sending it off for chemically, the chemical rust removal, and then they could be zinc plated, would be, you know, another higher quality step. However, as a lot of these projects are, this is not going to be like a show truck just for show. This is going to be a four-wheel drive Toyota built for light towing and use in the woods and actual, you know, enjoyment from the customer. So like I said, that's just a quick video on a process. So hope it helps somebody.